Hello, this is Renata with Think Reliability, and today I'd like to talk about facilitation tip number 6, and that's the utilization of the question mark. So I know it sounds pretty trivial, but the question mark can be a very powerful tool for the facilitator during an incident investigation. So as you start to get into an incident investigation, even if you're just filling out the problem outline or a timeline or get into the cause map, you might realize that you don't know something or that you have missing evidence, or maybe two scenarios are being debated among the team. Use the question mark to document a possible cause or scenario and then keep the team moving forward or past that point. If there's value behind the question, it will ultimately become information to get as part of the incident investigation. But by simply documenting it and moving on, we can make a productive use of everybody's time and capture both of those perspectives. This will be a huge time saver for you and the investigation team and allow for more productive conversations. By utilizing the question mark, you're going to be able to capture those differing perspectives without bogging down the conversation. And again, it will provide cues to the team or an individual about what needs to be validated with evidence, or you'll have an understanding of next steps in the investigation process. And lastly, it will kind of highlight the draft nature of the findings that are being presented or shared or distributed. So a lot of times we use the question mark in a troubleshooting scenario. So say we had an impact to production because our printer will not function. And thinking through it, you might start to say, well, why could the printer not be function? Or someone in the team mentions, well, maybe it's jammed, but we're not sure yet, so we're going to put a question mark. Then someone else in the room mentions that maybe it's a network connectivity issue. So you write it down, again, documenting it with a question mark. And then someone else mentions that maybe it's out of ink. Okay, write it down, put a question mark. So after listing a couple possible causes of why our printer might not function, we have a clear understanding of what we need to go and collect. On the information to get worksheet within our Microsoft Excel template, we can document what we need to go and collect. And then I would also recommend assigning an owner and a due date to expedite the evidence collection process and keep the investigation moving forward. So as the troubleshooting process continues and that information is collected, we're going to update the cause map with those findings. Say, for instance, we found that the printer was found to be clear of jams. We don't want to delete it off of the cause map because we want to show that we considered it and ruled it out as a possible cause. And then next time when we have a printer issue, we can always use this as a framework or a go-by for how a printer could be malfunctioning. But for this specific incident, we discovered that it was not jammed. So again, we're investigating a discrete incident, in which case the printer was not jammed, so we ruled that out. It was also discovered that the ink levels were about 50%, so the team went ahead and crossed that off the cause map as well. And then they did discover that the printer was not connected to the wireless. Question marks can also be a very powerful tool if you're in the early stages of your analysis or your investigation. So for this one, there was an impact to the environment because we had a tank overfill. And the tank overfilled because the tank input exceeded the output for about 4 hours. That was because the discharge valve was left closed. And the team mentioned that was either because the valve failed closed in the closed position, or the valve was intentionally given the closed command. So it could have been either one of those scenarios. The team will go to the information to get worksheet and assign an action item to understand how that discharge valve was closed. So you can also use the question marks on the problem outline if you're unsure about the information that you're putting in there, or if you just don't know. We highly recommend that you don't leave items blank on the problem outline. So oftentimes a question mark is used there to keep moving past that discussion point. Additionally, you might have question marks on the timeline. If someone says, I think it happened on a certain day at a certain time, you can always add it to the timeline just to document it. And then if it's valuable to the team, then you can go back and fill in that specific information. So as a facilitator, use those question marks to help document what is being discussed and indicate the uncertainty of that information. And that will be an indicator to the team of what needs to be collected or better understood to finalize your investigation findings. I hope that helps with facilitation tip number 6. The PDF of this tip may be found on our website, but when in doubt, question mark it out. Thanks. Bye-bye.